Hello everyone and welcome to the FPL Cougars show. I'm Chris.
I'm Kieran.
And today we are previewing Gameweek 13. We're going to be discussing a few of the upcoming Gameweek fixtures. We're going to look at potential key players, differentials and clean sheets. We're also going to wrap up the past Gameweek, which just finished yesterday because it's a short turnaround. Gameweek obviously starting again Tuesday. So Kiko, let's jump into it straight away because time is of the essence. Gameweek 12 review. Yeah, good scores for both of us.
Yeah, so I got 61 points, 10 above the average of 51, which is okay. Slightly down to Captaincy, coming in last minute with Salah, which is nice. Kind of luckily, I suppose. But yeah, so 61 points, which took me from 737k to 695k, which is the fifth green arrow in a row. So yeah, going in the right direction still. Yeah, McCarthy 6 points, chipping in nicely, and then Justin with the 11 points, finally delivering on sort of like a Sunday/Monday night of like last game week for Leicester, or the last game of the week for Leicester because of Europa, and he's had two good fixtures in a row before this, and he's come in with twos and ones, and then tonight or the other night he got 11 points. So obviously that felt pretty good. My punt of I took a punt on the defender. I was thinking about Diaz in. I was thinking of Dyer in and stuff like that. And yeah, I went for Matip in the end because I thought there's clearly a clean sheet here. They're going to win this quite easily against Fulham. And then, gets injured, taken off half time with 1 point. And I should have just not needed to make a transfer this week. I should have got Diaz in straight away. But anyway, Son chipping in with 5 points. Fernandes and De Bruyne, the power midfield, blanking, I guess, with 3 points each. Which is still fine, I suppose. But then Salah with a 16, the lucky penalty because he was about to be taken off. And then Calvert-Lewin still returning, and Adams was my second top scorer with 8. Obviously outscoring Bamford. Obviously, I was thinking after Bamford had already returned in that first game, I was thinking, oh my God, Adams has just been away for such a bad transfer, but then he came up trumps. So yeah.
I mean, you've had quite a rise. You say fifth green arrow in the row. That's 2.2 million there to 695k in probably about 5 weeks. Do you think it's power midfield? People keep commenting on our videos saying, "Look at Kieran's midfield." Amongst other things,
it's become very template now. Very template. I say a lot of people on Twitter are going for it, and I'm just looking at the price rises waiting to come in. So I've had it for quite a while now. So I've had Fernandes since week 2, I think, or 3. De Bruyne came in again, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and I've had Son for quite a while, and then Salah was been there the whole time. So, and I never dropped him. So people who dropped in had to get back onto him and all that sort of thing. So I've been quite patient, and it seems to be the sort of cheaper forward line has helped me out, definitely. And the back line isn't too cheap. It's got a mix of sort of, I guess, lower end premiums and sort of James, who looks like he should be a premium, that sort of thing. No, Justin like doing well and stuff like
Justin was incredible yesterday from the highlights, man. He could have had
he looked so
mega
good
ball.
Yeah,
he's basically playing on their penalty box. Anyway, I had one of my best game weeks of the season, I think, in sort of overall game week rank, 74, which it's funny really, because sometimes you look at a team before the deadline, you think, well, I know Yotta's a big doubt. I know Lascelles won't be there. I think the bench is going to be none of them are going to play, and that did happen. And looking at the team, I just wasn't that confident. But ended on 74. So Vardy returned big points last night, 13.
Hurt me.
Goal and 2 assists.
Did you see the first one? It should not have been an assist.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
It was just he sort of turned it around the corner a little bit.
I don't know if he even touched it.
Oh, really? I thought all of his returns looked a bit lucky, to be honest. Like, even the second one, Maddison did a lot after he passed the ball back to him. But anyway, I'll take it. Calvert-Lewin, the Spurs double up. I seem to be in the minority of people that seem to have both. Whenever I see people sharing teams on Twitter, that people either have one or the other, I feel like I see
a lot of sold.
Yeah, I see very few with both. And I'll be sticking with both this weekend as well in that Liverpool game. I've obviously got them. I've got Salah. Souček started the weekend off nicely with 9 points. He's doing really well recently, so I'm pleased about that. And Diaz, Walker-Peters, clean sheets at the back. So yeah, it was quite a good game week. 74 total score, up to 514k, which is highest of the season so far. So yeah, it's big, well. Big what was my transfer? Oh, I took out Bruno Fernandes and I brought in Salah and I gave him the armband. So that worked out well as well. All right, manager of the week, please.
Yes. It's Novice FC from Adeniyi. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Togan, 79 points. So you weren't far off the manager of the week this week, so it would have been nice. But yeah, overall rank of 4K up from 14K. So yeah, he's obviously having a good season. But he played his bench boost chip, and it kind of got a bit lucky. He had Martinez on there with 11 points, obviously great score.
Yeah.
Romeo with the 7 points, and then he had I think it was Kilman and
Lamptey.
someone else. Lamptey, 0. That was it. He didn't play, and a bit of a shame, but yeah. McCarthy 6 as well, Justin 11, Son 5, Bamford 10 as captain, but unlucky. Kane 9, and then Calvert-Lewin with the points, and then the bench boost getting him up there. So yeah, I suppose I guess you can't complain with about what 18 points from the bench boost. That's
pretty good.
About right, I suppose. So
yeah, that's right. On the Cubs, you clawed it back a bit. No.
Oh yeah, let me scroll down to where we are.
Danlaw.
Yeah, Mr. Danny Ings. 5 points, should have got more because he screwed up a few chances from Adams. So Adams could have got an even bigger haul as well. So happy to have picked him, and he looked good. So, and I think he's going to look good going forward. And even Saints in general just look really good right now. So 5 points from Ings, which helped, I suppose. And then you had Rafinha, which you thought you picked Mount, but I looked back at the show and you picked Rafinha. So 2 points for you, which he was a bit unlucky as well. So total wise 58 for me, and you're now on 74, so it's still a big gap, and I gained 3 points, but long way to go for me.
Yeah, I felt a bit unlucky with the Rafinha pick. I mean, 2 shots in the box. I saw he had expected points of about 5. I think he was the second most attacking threat after Bamford in that game. So yeah, it was a bit unlucky, but anyway, we go again this game week. So do you want to choose? Do you want to go ahead and choose now, or the end of the show for who you want to pick this coming week?
Let's go ahead and choose it now while we're on it, I suppose. I'm going to go for Jesus. I'm going to talk about him a bit more later, but he's still only 2% owned, and I think Aguero is probably still not quite ready to start. So Jesus, even though his stats haven't been great, I'll talk about his stats in the City section, but he hasn't looked great, so I'm betting on the fixture more than anything else. Yeah,
I saw some woes of people who had taken Vardy out rather than Jesus this past weekend to get some points, and big mistake there. Cavalera's one I'm going to highlight for my Cub pick this week. So when I was having a look at transfers this week, we'll get onto that in a minute, but I've been looking for Jota replacements, and amazingly, I think of all players in the game in the last 3 game weeks, Cavallero comes in at 3rd highest for expected points in that time. 23.7, only behind Mahrez and De Bruyne. He's had 6 shots in the box, 4 big chances, 2 key passes, and 1 big chance created. So yeah, he's looked quite handy, and they've got a nice little run of fixtures now. So I think after Brighton, Fulham have got I think it's Newcastle. They travel there, and they've also got a home fixture against Southampton to come. So 3 decent fixtures there for them.
And his XG is 3.36, which is by far the highest for any midfielder for the last 4 weeks. It's at least a whole 0.1 above Salah's, Bruno's, Fernandez's. And that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really good.
For a Fulham player, 5.3.
They did well yesterday, really well. I was really impressed. All right. Yeah. Let's move on to the show proper. Bring up our teams on screen. I've made my transfers already. You don't even know. I know. Lunchtime today. So I've actually taken the -4, and despite Vardy's haul, he's gone, as is Jota, so I've been able to just about exact money do Vardy and Jota for Bamford and Fernandes. So I'm deciding to... I was all over bringing De Bruyne in for this West Brom game, but I'm sticking faith with Bruno, and now my midfield is Fernandes, Souček, Salah and Son. So yeah, basically it's the F&S squad in the middle. So
Fernandes getting the armband, this 2 sort of duo of captaincy potentials this week.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a tough week for captaincy if you own De Bruyne as well. But now that I don't, I've kind of limited myself because I'm not going to captain either Spurs player against Liverpool, and I didn't think Salah and Liverpool looked that hot, so I've kind of reduced the pickings really between Fernandes and maybe Bamford, but I sort of want to keep with a premium player at the minute. So yeah, Bamford or Salah for captaincy, but I think Fernandes. What's your thinking? Because you've obviously got De Bruyne at the moment.
Right, so I'll list off some stats for De Bruyne, right? So 25.6% owned still. That's still super low for him. 2, 10, 14 and 3 in the last 4 weeks, so he has blanked twice. He's the 9th highest scoring mid. For 11.8 million, you probably expected a bit more on you. 9th highest scoring mid. I don't know if that is even worth it at this point. City still not firing on all cylinders. So the only two teams that they've blown out was obviously Wolves at the start of the season, and then Fulham and who am I forgetting here? Burnley at home. The last two where he scored 10 and 14 points. So everyone else they've scored like one goal or they haven't scored any goals or that sort of thing. So there's possibly a flat track bully for De Bruyne this season. His big hauls against Fulham and Burnley, 10 and 14. He's got West Brom next, arguably the worst of all those three teams. So is there a haul around the corner for De Bruyne? Possibly. So his stats, XG of 1.36, which is third from all midfielders. An XA of 3.08, which is first, which is obviously very high. Shots 17 first, which is something we don't usually see from De Bruyne. So he's very high on shots. 3 big chances for himself is also joint third, which obviously big chances for himself is kind of rare for De Bruyne as well. 11 key passes, 6 big chances created, which is the top, and then 29 points is just third of all mids for the last 4 weeks. Obviously a captain potential. Like West Brom at 18th for expected goals conceded at 8.43. He's only actually returned in 5 game weeks, which is
that's not many, is it?
Weird. Yeah. He's had 8 returns overall. He's played 90 minutes all season, bar one with injury, and then bar one out with injury, and then 1 sub appearance. So he seems like he's possibly rotation proof, which obviously is good for captaincy potential for him. But so fixture congestion, Christmas period, he actually started 8 out of 8 Man City Christmas fixtures last year. So we should assume he should be fine to play this one. He has rested the past 2 midweeks in Champions League. Yeah. But obviously this is the league; they need points. He seems like he's a great choice, honestly. Like the West Brom have a worse defence than someone like Sheffield United, who obviously Fernandes faces at the moment. So I think it's really a 50-50. It could go either way. Like I said, the record of them hauling against bad teams is there for the last 2. So De Bruyne could be on. Yeah,
I think they're both. I mean, in the last 4 games, West Brom conceded 9 goals, which is the highest in the league. Sheffield United 8, so only one below, and both of those 2 are only worse than Leeds and Fulham in their expected goals conceded column. So I think they're both pretty poor, and I don't think now, just because there's only a few fans let into the stadiums everywhere, I don't think the home and away still doesn't play that much importance. I do think Man City will rock up a bigger score against Sheffield United against West Brom than I think United will rock up against Sheffield United, if that makes sense. But it's just whether De Bruyne's going to be involved in those goals or not.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Fernandes is higher on expected points scored in the last 4 game weeks over Kevin as well. But he's been shooting less.
Yeah. I mean, like that 5-0 against Burnley, he got 2 times returns, which was goal and assist, I think it was. Or was it 2 assists? I can't remember. But, there's still a load of other sort of returns in that game that he hasn't been involved in. So when you look at United, you think Fernandes, he's going to be involved in absolutely everything.
Definitely.
Everything that United do well, he's going to be involved. And obviously De Bruyne is the talisman as well, but they scored 5 and he only got 2 returns. So I'm my armband is on Fernandes. Obviously we'll talk about a bit more later, but for now I like Fernandes. So sticking on City, Stones, someone to mention as well.
Yeah, strange one. He's come into the team again.
4.8 million, 0.9% owned, obviously because he's barely been playing, but he's been playing. This is a quote from Pep. He said, "What Ake and Laporte have to do is work harder, better, and the moment will come. When the moment comes, have a good performance. Every player has incredible skills, but it's about how you perform now. John and Ruben, as in Diaz, performed brilliantly, and they'll play. So, sounds like Stones and Ruben Diaz are gonna play from now on. Ruby, yeah. So in the Premiership, at least Diaz has played pretty much all the minutes. I think he's missed maybe 1 game. I don't think he actually has, actually.
No, he's not missed a game. He came off early in that Burnley game, but I think he's played every game.
But anyway, Stones 6, and 8 the last 3 weeks, got 2 bonuses in the last one versus United, 3 clean sheets in a row. I think they've got something like 7 clean sheets in a row as well, including Champions League. So, all of his defence is playing well. Stone's a big part of that at the moment. Laporte just have to wait for his chance, I suppose. But I don't know if it's worth risking. But a 4.8 million for a City defender, that sounds pretty good. Obviously, it probably is a trap.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Because he could just be a transfer out again in like another week or two.
He could.
But yeah, they have been good, especially since Diaz has come into the side. So I think he's played in 9 games for them now, and in that time, I think he's racked up 5 clean sheets in the league. So I mean, that's more than 50% clean sheet rate, and you expect him to get another clean sheet against West Brom. So yeah, if you were looking for a free hit this week and you were going to load on City, it might not be such a bad idea to get 2 of their defenders, because like you say, apart from that, you never know who's going to start first and foremost. And apart from that Burnley game, it's only been consistently, or De Bruyne and Sterling have really returned like big hauls, and even Sterling's been seen a fair bit of rotation, so it could be more reliable.
Yes, agree. I think my transfer will be Diaz just for safety. But yeah, so Jesus, as I mentioned earlier, as my cub pick. Yeah, more on fixture than anything else because his stats are pretty bad. He's only had 2 goals, 1 assist across the season so far, and he's played 90 minutes in every game he started. I think he missed about 4 or 5 or something along the way through injury. But yeah, his stats, like, he's not in the top 10 for strikers for XG, shots, or big chances, and obviously that's his bread and butter for getting goals. On the assist side, it's kind of better with 6 key passes, which is 5th of strikers, big chances created, which is of 1, which is 8th of all strikers, and then an XA of 0.76, which is 8th. So still not great, but like I said, it's West Brom, so I assume he's going to be involved at least somehow. So any kind of return I can get from Cub is good. And I think obviously if you own him, you keep him. Maybe even look at a captain if you really want to get risky with it, because obviously 2% owned. If he gets anything, you'll do well.
No, I think it's a good fixture for, obviously it goes without saying, it's a good fixture for Man City with West Brom locking up. But it's funny really that we're even sort of debating whether any of their players are a definite captain pick in a game like this, just because you just don't know what sort of City's going to turn up this season and who's going to be involved and who's going to play. But I think it's a difficult one for you and other people that have got both Kevin and Bruno. So I've sort of avoided that decision making by just going for Bruno and forgetting about Kevin, which hurts.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, just hoping at least owning both, they can both do well. Yeah, and I just hope they both
points off that. Yeah, no, I like it, and that's tomorrow night, that one. So it's going to kick off the game week quite strongly. I think 8:00 is Man City West Brom.
And Bruno has 2 days extra rest, which is possibly a thing, but I don't know. I don't think it really is, but maybe.
You never know how it is around Christmas time. Some players get run into the ground. Like, there was so much talk about Salah getting the rest, but then I suppose he did come off after 70 minutes. So yeah, maybe there will be more of it this season. All right, should we move on to Liverpool Spurs, because we're only really going to talk about the big games tonight, where there's quite a lot of fantasy interest. And perhaps on the Spurs side of things, I was a bit put off having watched the Palace game. I was obviously pleased Son got the assist for Kane's goal, and they both returned, but I thought Tottenham in the second half especially just looked absolutely woeful. I don't know if you watched that game, but they just totally switched off. And they just, basically, from the second half I was watching, I was thinking, okay, right, let's see some more Kane and Son link-ups and some more points. But they were absolutely woeful. I think Son had 1 shot the whole game, XG of 0.02. I mean, Kane's goal was quite a long way out speculative. I think his best chances were right at the end of the game when they were chasing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't deserve to win, but somehow they're top of the league at the moment. How do you sort of see this game going? I kind of think it's going to be a typical Mourinho defensive performance and try and hit them on the break. But I mean, if they attack like they did the other night, I can't see them getting much.
I think it's going to be a tight game, but at the same time, like we saw against City, the tight game and the counterattacks help Spurs, at least for Son it does, and then Kane setting him up inevitably. But their attack has definitely trailed off, and Palace always seems like a bit of a bogey team. Like, I think it was 1-1 against them last year as well. So it's a slight worry with Son. Honestly, obviously I don't own Kane, but it's a slight worry if you own him as well, because their attacking has gone off. And I saw a tweet earlier of just someone comparing Benteke to Kane over the last 4 weeks. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Benteke's stats were blowing Kane's out of the water for the last 4 weeks. And it's kind of that's the funny thing, that stats are awkward, because obviously it makes Benteke look better, but at the same time, he has been better for the last 4 weeks. So that's Kane's regression, I suppose. Yeah. But he has only blanked twice still.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
they're massively overperforming their XG. So in the last 4 game weeks, I think Kane and Son have XGs of about 24 and 22 between them, and they've got, I think, like respectively 36 and 32, I believe. But that's not even in the top 20 players for expected points in the last 4. I mean, they're just super clinical. I mean, mind you, Salah's not in the top 20 for expected points in the last 4 either, but I think that's because I think he missed a game in that time. But I mean, yeah, you kind of expect more from the Spurs players. Really do. Even Ramsdale, I think, has got a higher expected points in the last 4 game weeks than Kane has.
What?
Yeah, no, I think Ramsdale has expected points of 23.2 in the last 4, and Kane has got an expected points of 22.6. So they're just being super clinical. And how long can you keep that up for?
I think they'll get another Kane-Son goal / assist this week against Liverpool. I think that's just looks like it's nailed on just because of the counter-attacking potential. And then Leicester at home is a bit more awkward, I think. That could be tight again. But then after that, Wolves, Fulham, Leeds, Villa, Sheffield United.
Fixtures are good.
Good run again. So people who are selling are probably going to want them back.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to ride it out. I mean, their expected points and their numbers are rubbish, but if they're going to keep scoring me points, then I shouldn't really get rid of them. And maybe people will say, well, why did you get rid of Vardy after he scored you some points? But to get Fernandes in my team and have that better balance up front, I kind of think that Kane is playing in a better team than Leicester and is going to end up on more points for them, and I think he's worth that 0.7 million more than him at the minute. Yeah,
so I just think Son and Kane have earned their stay. Yeah. To be honest, they can score against anyone, which they have proved this season. So what's the point of selling them? Obviously, I thought about getting rid of Son quite a few times, just to possibly get like a Trent or someone like that, or a Chilwell in defence, and just I think he's fine to just stay because he will tick along, and he's the second highest scorer, like 2 points behind Kane. Of like they're both over 100, and no one else is like even close apart from Salah, who's like 5 points behind. So,
what do you think of Salah coming into this one? Do you think he's returning again?
Surprisingly, he's only blanked twice all season as well. Despite that, obviously that 0 I'm not including with COVID because. Yeah, whatever. But he's not blanked in the last 5 weeks either. 8, 9, 6, 14 and 8. Nice. So Mr. Consistent again. And yeah, like I said, not blanked. Only blanked twice all season. Great. Third highest scorer in the game, behind 10 points behind Son and 12 off Kane. So that is a big little gap, I suppose. Yeah. Big little. So like I said, he that penalty was lucky. He was literally about to be subbed off as well. So big swing, could have had a blank, probably deserved a blank because he looked pretty poor, looked quite tired, off the pace against Fulham. So stats wise, kind of concerning. His shots have dipped off a lot. 7 shots in 4 weeks, which is very, very low for him because he's usually just peppering shots which lose in bonus pretty much all the time. So because they're always off target or weak or blocked and that sort of thing. But yeah, XG of 1.5, which is low for him. XA of 0.59, super low for him. 2 big chances, 2 key passes, very low again, and then 1 big chance created. So stats are worrying, and I'm looking at those stats like Salah to Sterling this week, maybe against West Brom at home. It's not the worst shout.
I mean, I could name you some players that have had the same amount of shots as Salah, and I think you'd laugh. Van Aanholt, Grant from West Brom, Gross, Schlupp, Furlong. I mean, they're not even Chilwell. So yeah, he's not been. I mean, like you say, he looked tired as well yesterday.
Yeah. And there's when's their fixture this week? Is it the Wednesday, Thursday?
I believe it's the Wednesday one. They Wednesday at 8.
The Wednesday, not much time between.
And they play 12:30 Saturday as well again against Palace.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, he'll play the Liverpool. He'll play the Spurs game. That's for sure. Yeah. Maybe he gets rested on the Saturday, possibly. Something to be concerned about, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to sell him, I don't think. But at the same time, like, Sterling hasn't looked good either. If Sterling was like ripping it up, I'd be like, you know what, hello, let's hokey cokey Salah out for a little bit for Sterling for some upside. But he's just not. So for the time being, Salah stays as well because he's been consistent. So On the other side, Mane as well, still 11.9 million, 8.8% owned. So if Salah's stats are a concern, Mane's form is an even bigger one. Hasn't scored in the Premier League since week 5.
That's mad.
That's kind of crazy for Mane. He has had 4 assists in that time, but yeah, not scored since week 5, which is bad for him. Regular front three should be sort of nailed on from the sort of time being for at least 2 months. Is obviously Jota out of nowhere, I suppose, getting injured after playing that squib of a game in the Champions League. They didn't need Ridiculous. To. 2 months out for him, which is another body on the treatment table at Liverpool. But yeah, Mane's XG of 1.5, XA of 0.4, 12 shots, 2 big chances, 2 key passes, 0 big chances created. So practically identical to Salah's, other than, nearly doubling his shots taken. So he didn't really look on it against Fulham either. Tired as well, possibly. Don't know what's going on there. But however, their XG as a team is still the first of 8.54, and they've scored 9. So that's, over the last 4 weeks, they're still scoring goals, even though their main people for scoring goals aren't performing well. So I don't know how that really works, but anyway. Defense-wise, if you own Robbo and Trent,
what do you
Trent,
think
I
there?
think
Do you think keep?
Yeah, I think you keep, because after Spurs, they got Crystal Palace, West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton. So there's the next 3 after that look like good chances of clean sheets.
What are you going to do with Matip?
However,
they're quite pricey though.
Obviously,
as well.
Yeah, I'm obviously selling Matip and to Diaz. But Matip down injured, so they've got 0 centre backs fit now, 0 senior centre backs. So they've got Phillips and that Williams kid as well, who are going to have to come in, because I don't think Henderson and Fabinho is going to be a suitable combo at centre back going forward. So,
do you not think that Robbo and Trent, now that despite the fixtures being really good, are just a concern considering their price and this run of fixtures? I mean, it's quite a lot to invest in a defence which you're not at least guaranteed some clean sheets.
I mean, Alisson's back now.
Yeah.
But
how many shots
they kept
did
3 clean sheets before that.
Yeah, true. He did face a lot of good shots and chances against Fulham.
He did, yeah. I think if you're trying to get to a De Bruyne or something like that, then I think selling is probably worth it. But I would keep Robbo over this time for sure. But Trent is you probably wouldn't even have Trent anyway.
That's true. I think he's not in many teams of them anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Any more to add on that Liverpool game?
No, I waffled on.
That's all right. I think it's going to be close. I heard earlier that there's been more 0-0s between the top 6 teams so far this season than there have between teams in the rest of the league. So I think it's going to be a tight game again. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was another 0-0. All right, we're going to just talk about one more game tonight, and that's going to be the Sheffield United against Manchester United game. So that one, like we say, is happening Thursday. That's the 8:00 one. I mean, Bruno, we've mentioned him already tonight, but it looks like we're both going to have the armband on him. The main reason being for me is just the fact that his expected points and his involvement within United games is just, his expected points are so high, as is his involvement. I mean, 40 expected points in the last 4 game weeks, actual of 47. That's the highest in the league for both of those two totals. Yeah, so I think he's in great form at the moment. And whilst he's not shooting as perhaps some of the other players in the league, I mean, he's had the same amount of shots in the box as Cavallero, who we mentioned a little bit earlier, fewer than De Bruyne.
But still 12 shots, I think.
It's not bad. So I think he's got some good numbers there. I mean, his key passes is insane. I mean, we know that he broke the all-time record in half a game, but he's had 18 of those in the last 4 game weeks. That's 4 clear of Mahrez, 5 clear of De Bruyne. 6 big chances created is the second highest after Kevin. Just
Salah had 2. Compared.
Yeah, so I think Bruno's looking good for points, and we know that still the record stands that when he joined the league, he is the highest scoring fantasy Premier League asset. So I don't feel worried about owning him or captaining him. It does feel like I played a bit of hokey pokey, taking him out last week, getting Salah, captaining him, and now I'm taking out someone else and bringing him back in. But yeah, if I can hit the captaincy right, then no problem with doing it.
I also think I read on Twitter as well that he's not blanked in FPL terms away from home ever since he joined.
Wow.
So January last year, obviously playing like the remainder of that season plus the start of this season, he's never blanked away from home.
That's incredible.
That sounds mental.
That is incredible.
Like, what the hell? And obviously his away record is just insane.
Yeah.
So Sheffield United, who are obviously terrible. I mean, can we really look past him? We're both United fans. We got to help. sort of back our boy here, I think.
I mean, I knew even at that West Ham game the week before last when I captained him, and I knew he was on the bench. I kind of thought he's going to come on and he's going to do something because United are pants without him. I mean, 6 points from a half of football. His last, I think,
could have been way more.
Yeah. I mean, his away scores so far this season are 12, 11, 17, 10, and 6. I mean, just crazy numbers. And happy with any of those. So I'm quite set on Fernandes. Talking about United's backline, I suppose you had Telles up until this game week. Sold him. He didn't feature, but United kept another clean sheet. Do you see any value? I've been seeing people talk about Lindelof a little bit because he's 4.8 now, similar sort of price as Stones. I think United have had, is it 3 clean sheets in the last 6 or 3 clean sheets in the last 7 games now?
It's still not great, and they looked absolutely woeful against Leipzig. So surprised by a clean sheet, I suppose. Although City didn't really try that hard either, so they both sort of went defensive. There is pretty much obviously going to be a clean sheet here, but there is, for some reason, I think Sheffield United probably nick one still.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah. So obviously I took Telles out just because I wanted to get Diaz eventually anyway, and I didn't want to get Diaz. So it was the right decision, obviously, but I took the wrong player to bring in. I got 1 point up, but and then I said Shaw is back and Ollie loves Shaw. And then it happened to be that he was benched. But against Sheffield United, Telles is surely going to come back because they don't need to defend as much.
No.
Telles is obviously going to be good for creativity. Lindelof at 4.8, sure. But I wouldn't go that. He's not going to get you many points. He might get the occasional goal from a header if Maguire misses it or something, but he's not targeted at the box, is he? So, he's not going to get much bonus either, really. So, I don't think
on that back line.
Lindelof's worth it. None of the back line is worth it. Maybe Telles at 5.5. But I think this is the only one you're looking for a clean sheet, really. After that, I don't think it looks great. Leeds going to score, probably. Leicester away, Wolves, Villa, all those are going to score, I think. Fulham, maybe, but though Fulham look good. And then Liverpool after that. So, I think there's probably one clean sheet out of the next 5 or 6.
I think it's Bruno or bust at the moment for United assets. I mean, Cavani was interesting, and he's obviously had a knock. He might come back in for this one. I think if he's back, that boosts.
Yeah, I hope he does.
That boosts the appeal of Bruno even more because I think Cavani would relish a game like this one rather than Martial, that's for sure. All right, any more to add on that game?
I don't think so. I just hope they go big.
Yeah, I hope they go big too. I kind of hope that maybe Bruno does that thing where they get about 2 or 3-0 up and he feels generous and he gives a penalty to Rashford and Rashford takes it and Ramsdale saves it. And he has his redemption arc of the season. I need to get...
I suppose I should talk about Sheffield United a little bit. Ramsdale, obviously 0 clean sheets, 12 weeks. He's got an extra save point in 8 of the 12 weeks though, so...
Whoop.
That's all right, but not getting much. Sheffield United strikers, 4 goals and 1 assist across 4 players on the season. Yeah, not great. McBurney, 8-pointer versus Leicester. It was just like, oh my God, McBurney. Yeah, here we go. Next game, 1 point versus Saints away and off injured. Wilder's sort of tactics for changing things just seems to be rotating strikers each week and just praying they do something out of thin air, and just obviously just not happening. So I think Sheffield United probably go down at this rate because spending, I don't even know how much they spent on Brewster, but they're not even starting him. He's just a kid. He was not going to be their saviour for scoring goals. So because there's no creativity in the team either, so they needed to buy someone with proper experience and I don't know, something like Wolves did with the Jimenez, and he's just a proven goal scorer. But
doesn't suit their play either, does he, Brewster? Really?
No, he's too small. They need that sort of.
They need Chris Wood.
Chris
Someone like that, or Ashley Barnes, a bit of a stocky, no nonsense, maybe even Andy Carroll target man.
Calvert-Lewin would be
He would never leave Everton.
Box poacher. He wouldn't, but I mean, that sort of box poacher is what they need.
No, definitely. It's a funny one for Sheffield United. I mean, I won't dwell on them too long because they are of no interest to anyone. But after that Man United game, they've got a really good block of 5 fixtures, which they would need to get some points in. They've got Brighton, Everton, Burnley, Crystal Palace, and Newcastle. And I kind of think it'd be a bit stupid to get rid of Ramsdale for a hit, so I might keep him for another 5 game weeks.
Sure.
But I know he's got less or fewer points in the last 5 game weeks than Martinez got in this game week, and he's at 28 points for the season. Still better than De Gea, but it's not good.
Whoa.
All right,
That's fine.
it's bad. Okay, any more for any more? I think that's about it, isn't it?
No, we're going to keep it short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Okay, right. Well, good luck, everyone. Well, let's just recap. So, Captaincy's on Bruno. Your transfer looks like it's going to be Matip to...
It's Matip to Diaz, and then I've got another free transfer that I don't really know what to do with again, so I guess I'm rolling
Get Kilman out.
again. But I don't see the point. He's cheap, so why get like a 4.5 when I just don't need to at the moment?
True.
Like, I would rather still wait and see until I really have to get him out.
Yeah.
Because I've not been 3 bench deep or anything for ages, so it's like I don't need to.
Yeah.
But Justin maybe could go, but I think he looked so good last week that I still want to keep him, even though his place is up for grabs quite soon, I suppose. And then Eiling, obviously fine with. Maybe I could do Eiling to Dallas, but meh.
Yeah.
And then Basuma looks fine as well. So there really isn't much issues right
just
now.
roll it over again. Nice place to be in. All right, cool. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. The next game week's on Saturday, so we'll probably have a chat about what we're going to do, but maybe it'll be another short show this Thursday or Friday. We'll work it out and let you guys know. But thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions before the deadline tomorrow, remember it's at some funny time, 4:30, I think, UK time tomorrow. So if you've got any questions before then, get them in. And in between working, Kira and I will tippity tap the answers to you. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. It's goodbye from me.